Hey there and welcome. If you love to travel, you probably love talking about it, but sometimes the usual words just don't quite cut it, right? In this explainer, we're going to level up your travel vocabulary with some really great natural-sounding phrases that'll make your stories pop. Because let's be real, the right words can totally transform a simple, "it was a good trip," into a story that pulls people in, making them feel like they were right there with you. So how do we do that? All right, let's dive in. Now, to make all of this super easy to remember, we're not just going to throw a list of phrases at you. Nope. Instead, we're going to follow the story of a couple who decided they needed a real adventure. Their journey is going to be our guide. Okay, so our story kicks off with a couple who are feeling kind of stuck. You know the feeling? The daily grind, work, routine. It was all starting to feel a little, stale. They were seriously craving an escape, a proper break from it all. They both just had this feeling that a real holiday would have a hugely positive effect on them, that it would really do them good. And it wasn't just about a vacation, it was about this deep need to truly get away, to just escape everything for a while. So let's break that down. Do somebody good. It's such a natural, common way to say something will be beneficial for you. You might say, a good night's sleep would do you good, or maybe a long walk. Well, for our couple, it was the entire trip. But here's the thing. They didn't want the typical vacation. No way. No all-inclusive resorts or just lounging by the pool. They wanted something totally different, an adventure. They decided this was their chance to rough it. And that phrase, to rough it, just perfectly captures what they were after. It means living simply, maybe camping out or staying in a really basic cabin without all the usual modern comforts. It's about leaning into a bit of a challenge, not just kicking back and relaxing. Okay, so their minds were made up. The plan was locked in. It was finally time to start their journey. And for them, the drive itself was a huge part of the whole experience. So here was the game plan. They decided to set out really early in the morning. The idea was to avoid all the major highways and instead take their time cruising down the smaller, scenic roads. And they knew that somewhere along the way, they'd stop off at a cool little village for a bite to eat.
I just love this phrase, set out. It has this real sense of purpose, a sense of intention. You don't just leave your house, you set out on an adventure. It just sounds so much more exciting.
And stop off is another great one. It's not your final destination, right? It's just a short, deliberate pause during a bigger trip. Stopping off at a cool viewpoint or a quirky little town can really add so much flavor to a road trip.
All right, so after a long and amazing drive, they finally arrived, and their destination was everything they'd hoped for. It was quiet, remote, and completely surrounded by nature. They'd found this small cabin that was way off the beaten track. And what that means is it was totally isolated, far away from all the usual tourist crowds. It was the absolute perfect spot to just be in the open air, breathing everything in, and enjoying the peace and quiet. What I love about the phrase off the beaten track is what it implies. It suggests a place that maybe isn't super easy to get to, and it for sure isn't packed with people. It hints at a more authentic, a more unique kind of experience. So once they were all settled in, they spent their days just exploring, hiking all over the place, and discovering all these new trails. They even decided to try something new. Once or twice, they went riding on horseback. And of course, no real adventure is complete without some unexpected weather. As it happened, a bit of rain showed up, but you know what? It didn't spoil their fun one bit.
Okay, so this is where every good travel story takes a little turn. Because no matter how much you try to plan every little detail, travel is always full of surprises. And honestly, those are usually the best parts.
They went into this thinking it would be a nice, simple, rustic break. But the trip turned out to be so much more than that. It was more challenging, sure, but also more beautiful and just more rewarding than anything they could have possibly planned in advance. And this is a fantastic phrase, isn't it? Turn out to be. It's the perfect way to describe an unexpected result or outcome. The weather, the experience, the entire trip, it all turned out differently. And in this case, way better than they expected. So, as their trip was winding down, they started reflecting on what really made it so special. And it wasn't just about the beautiful scenery. It was about the whole experience and what they actually learned from it. They really felt like they'd managed to get something out of the experience, a real sense of accomplishment, They also discovered a new travel hack. They absolutely loved going out of season to skip the crowds. Plus, they really grew as a couple, working like a team where everyone made sure to do their bit.
And ultimately, the whole thing just proved that sometimes you've really got to make a change to feel truly refreshed.
And that brings us right to the end. See, these phrases don't just describe a trip. They tell a story of change, of adventure and discovery. So I guess the final question is for you. What kind of adventure do you need? What's the next journey that's going to do you good?